Being in the homeschool circle for 20 some years, I've heard a lot of different questions, and the one that I've heard recently is, should I skip a grade? And I'm going to talk with you about how it is going to play out. Hi, I'm Nancy Marie Peterson, and I've been homeschooling for 20 years. Actually, before I was a homeschooling mom, I was an educator, I was a teacher, I taught different grades, and I have a master's degree in curriculum and development, and so I kind of am standing on two platforms: as a homeschooling veteran mother who has graduated 5 kids, 1 more to go, and from an educational degree, whatever you want to say, academic standpoint as well. So I'm going to approach it from both of those positions with information and knowledge kind of meshed together and hand it over to you. So I'm going to pretend like we're sitting down at a table and you were to ask me this question, and this is how I would answer you. The first thing I would ask you is, what's your why? Why do you want to skip a grade? Like, what triggered that, and what is the why behind it? So often we think of the grades, we look at curriculum and we see grade 5, grade 6, and the concept grades is actually an institutionalized concept. It's not really fitting in the homeschooling realm. It's more needed if you're going to group a bunch of kids together, and that's where it came from, because we're going to teach them all this concept at this time, and then they're going to move on and do this. The freedom with homeschooling is we don't work within those parameters. We get the freedom to work outside that, to really work with our child and their learning style and their abilities and their interests. We get to work in that realm instead of this boxed realm. So when you think of grades, I want you to replace that idea of grades with concepts. So do they already know this concept? And if they do, yeah, don't repeat it, move to the next concept. And so that's one thing I want you to think of. What's your why? I want you to think outside your grades. Stop thinking that grade mentality and think concept instead of grades. And the other thing I want to say is, think of the long game. Do you really want them to graduate at 17 or 16? Do you really want them to move early? When I think of, we're not climbing a ladder and we get to the top and we ring a bell and we've accomplished it. So we need to think of it in a different light. So if I think of God has given me these children and He has entrusted them to me, and I want to do what's best for them in their season and everything that they have, what does that look like? And so challenging them, yes, you want to challenge them. And if this concept, this curriculum isn't challenging them, you move to the next level. But you're not trying to jump them ahead, you're trying to bring growth in there. I've walked along with some other mothers that have, thought their child was brilliant, and so they skipped them a grade level. I've researched it and I've looked up what the statistics say, and I'm only saying from my point of view, from what I've actually seen walked out in real life, I haven't seen that benefit a child who graduates at 17. They don't have the maturity. Right now, they're even saying 28 is the new 20. Our kids are not mature enough to handle what's coming, whatever this generational thing is going on. And so do you really want them to graduate at 17 and figure out what they want to do with the rest of their life when they're that age? Or do you want to give them a little bit more maturity? And so when you think fast forward, do I want to launch them faster, or do I want to launch them more when they're ready? And I think God has gifted me with these kids. I have 18 years to pour into them. When they were born, I looked at it wrong. Let's be honest. I looked at it as an 18-year kind of job description, and that's not even right. So I looked at it as an 18-year responsibility. And I'm standing here with a child that's 28. And at 18, it doesn't stop. You move to a different capacity. There are times that I have one child at home and I'm like, this should be easy. I have one child at home. And I have sat on the couch, doing whatever we're doing. And I've had phone calls. Mom, can you, and I'm not kidding, can you check out this resume? 2 minutes later, hey mom, I'm going to do this, Mom, and my son is sitting there and we're laughing because I'm not done being a mom. At 18, you're still not done. But what I am saying is you have this concentrated time with your child, and do not, I would challenge you not to give that up. It is such an amazing, beautiful, cool time. And, if your child gets to a concept where you can't teach them anymore, like it's over your head, and there's a plethora of opportunities out there that you can engage in, that you can still challenge them and they can grow in your home. For us, we do running start. So I teach up to 10th grade, and then their 11th and 12th grade, we do dual credits. We do it online, we do it at our house. And it is such a cool opportunity. So let me back this up and pull this together. So if I were to ask you your why, if I were to ask you to knock off the concept of grades, if I were to ask you, think fast forward, when they're graduating, what age do you want them to be when they leave your home? If you jump grades, what does that look like? Are you going to just keep challenging? And I want to close with, statistically, only 1% is truly in the gifted capacity, the gifted realm that they should be accelerated. And that child is actually best served in the homeschooling environment because you're not stuck in this box or one little accelerated program that the school district may or may not have. You can really expand on that. So you have to think, am I the 1%? That's another question to answer. So I hope I have challenged you, and I hope I have struck a little bit of a mentality shift in how you think of grades and how you think of your homeschooling and how you think of equipping your kids. I shoved a lot into this video today because there's just so many aspects of it and so many things to consider. It's not simple. It's not, oh yes, he can do that math concept, so yeah, move him to the next. He's in 3rd grade, I'm going to challenge him, put him in the 4th grade level. It's bigger than that. And you have to think bigger than that. And that's the cool part about homeschooling, is you can look at each individual child and really pray and get wisdom and do what's best for them in the season and in the long haul. You get to look long term, because as a teacher in the school district, really I'm looking at this year. I'm teaching my 2nd grade classroom, I'm teaching my 6th grade, whatever class I was teaching. And I looked at that year so I could equip them to do the best that I can. As a mom, you're not looking at one grade. You're looking at years to come. So I hope I've challenged you. I hope I've helped you to kind of rephrase that grade level concept and really make it work in your best interest and really answer that question to the best of your ability with all these tools I've given you and all these questions I've given you to help you. Now, I know as a mom, you want to be intentional, and I have some resources that I want to give you. One of them is the Intentional Family, and it's an e-course that's free right now, and it just will help you determine in your family, what do you want your family to look like? Because to know if I should skip grades, you kind of have to know the bigger picture of why you're homeschooling and why you're doing what you're doing as a family and what makes your family unique. And this is a great resource that I want to pass on to you to help you, guide you as you make all these decisions in your homeschool. All right, I will see you in the next video, and until then, stay intentional. Bye.